Hey everybody, there's so much happening in the space right now. It's crazy. So today is going to be a two-for day. First, I have to cover all of the breaking Bitcoin news because there's a lot of that. And then I'll talk about the other number one crypto in the space afterwards. So I'll be back within an hour or two on that second video. Thank you to the mods in the chat who are all here. TND Tesla and hopefully Sean Donnelly. And I see Mopbots there too. Thank you all for coming. Let's get into it. This is called The Reign of Terror and how it's over. We'll talk about Bitcoin's unstoppable rise, how the dominoes are falling like crazy, how we hit 2T. And the ETFs are on fire. They're having institutional FOMO. And speaking of fire, firefighters are jumping in too. And Switzerland is still knocking on the door. And could a supply crunch happen? So it'll be a short story, but action-packed as always. Thank you all for coming. Let's get into it. Reign of Terror. Scary. And of course, not financial advice. And thank you to everyone on Patreon. First of all, let's get into the Bitcoin news. We are above 104,000 still. There's a little dark green spot on this map. I don't know what that is. We'll talk about that in about 2 hours. But anyway, we were over 104,000. Remember, Bitcoin was under $90,000 on Monday. It's up nearly 17%. And the weekend isn't even halfway over yet. So we have a long way to go. And crazy things are happening since yesterday. But first of all, let's talk about this. Bitcoin hits a $2 trillion market cap. Again, a big deal. But again, 2 trillion sounds big, doesn't it? Well, it's actually not that big because there's 450 trillion in global store value. That includes real estate and bonds and stuff like that. Gold, all that stuff. Bitcoin at 2 trillion is a couple of grains of sand on the beach, ladies and gentlemen. However, the demonetization is coming. That is, the wave is coming. And it's going to absorb as much of this Bitcoin thing as we can. And remember, no matter how high the price goes for Bitcoin, you cannot print more. And remember, the first fiat country that starts printing their trashy paper, fake money, and converting it into Bitcoin wins. Game theory, it's happening. I've never been more convinced in all my life. Thank you, Sean, for popping in. You're amazing. You're always there. And TND Tesla as well. But let's talk about this too. David Sachs from the former All-In Pod. The reign of terror against crypto is over. And the beginning of innovation in America for crypto has just begun. Remember as well, not only is David Sachs the new crypto czar for the new government that's starting on Monday, but also the AI czar. And what are the two narratives I only invest in? That's it. It's those two, AI and crypto. Urge you all to be this. And shout out to Elizabeth Warren and her war on crypto. Yeah, let's not forget. Although, anyway, moving on. And then there were 10. Shout out to Dennis Porter. Arizona is the latest, the 10th state in the U.S. that wants to join the cause, i.e. build a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is insane. As I say, dominoes are falling fast. Everybody is FOMOing in, especially now that it's a $2 trillion asset and now that it's above 100 grand. You know, price is the advertisement. The more a number goes up, the more people will want it. Nobody wants it at 15,000. Nobody wants it at 10,000. Nobody wants it at 40,000. But when it gets to 100,000, I want some of that. Yeah, let's go. Why not? And Switzerland, shout out to our Swiss friends. Swiss Bitcoin advocates are still pushing the Swiss National Bank to add Bitcoin to their national reserves. And they need 100,000 signatures to put it on the national vote. So do it. Sign up. Go Google it online or go to Twitter and sign up for that. They should easily crush 100,000 signatures. And Switzerland is one of the most crypto-forward nations on the planet. So that could also happen too. But they better get a move on because other SBRs are coming as well. Very quickly. And shout out to the firefighters, the Blackfoot Firefighters in Ohio, if I'm not mistaken, or Idaho. I hope I didn't screw that up. I think it's Idaho. Sorry, not Ohio. Again, foreigner gets confused with all the states. But the Blackfoot Firefighters become the first union in Idaho to buy Bitcoin for its balance sheet. So shout out to those guys too. Risking their lives and investing wisely. Why not? That's the way to go, and everybody else will follow. And this was just popped in right before I went live. I said I have to give a shout out to Gary. Gary writes, right onto my tweet, first one to respond that I posted for this video. Can you do a video on where to hold profits? I don't want to go back to using banks. I'm thinking stable coins, but are they safe and what are the purposes? Anyway, we'll get more into that in the future. But the point is, people have become crypto native. They don't want to go back to banks. So once their money goes out of the bank into crypto, people now don't want to bring it back to banks. That's incredible. Just very, very profound. And thank you, Gary, for tweeting that. Anyway, hope you don't mind me giving you a little shout out. And speaking of SBRs and dominoes and everything else, Michael Saylor on SBR. If you know everyone is going to trade their 20th century assets for a 21st century capital network, it makes sense to grab a large part and benefit when they arrive. Again, put in other words, first mover advantage. Bitcoin is an IQ test. The earlier you get in, the more you benefit. The later you arrive, the less you benefit. But hey, better late than never, as I always say as well. And Saylor, back again too from Vivek. Dump all the US gold for 5 million Bitcoin. The trade is free. Demonetize the enemy's gold reserves to zero while we take control of the world's reserve capital network. Michael Saylor. And I guarantee you, pretty much guarantee you, this was the exact same pitch that was made when Michael Saylor was at Mar-a-Lago. And this would appeal to anybody in office. Who needs old shiny rocks when you could have something that's hard and scarce and will go up in time? Guaranteed. Thunderbear, thank you for coming. It's all laid out. Just move. If you haven't already moved, move. The writing is literally all over all the walls, ladies and gentlemen. And this is Mania Phase from James Van Stratton. I've genuinely never seen anything like this. He's talking about a meme token that hit $3 billion in market volume in 24 hours. Rates aren't restrictive and there's not much cash out there. However, we're entering the Mania Phase. And when that happens, it looks like in Q1, Bitcoin and MicroStrategy are going to rip from JVS. Yes, QC Coiner up there in Quebec. Merci. That is crazy. Mania Phase, Banana Zone. It's, again, 2023 was pretty outrageous. 2024 was absolutely incredible. And 2025 is kicking it off. I do warn you, though, 2026 could be ugly because everything mean reverts. But in the meantime, we're going to ride this train as much as we can. Speaking of riding trains, this is a cool picture of a Cybertruck. And it was from Alenius, the guy that works at Mando. He writes cartoons. They're hilarious. But go straight, focus on the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, or launch a meme coin, or do both. I don't know. But I just thought that was funny to share. And there's other stuff happening. And there's no doubt, okay, whether you love Trump or hate him, he is the guy igniting the catalyst that's triggering all of this. And Marathon Mining, Fred Thiel, they mined what they call the Trump 47 block, a historical visual maker on the Bitcoin blockchain to honor the new president-elect as the 47th president of the United States. That's pretty cool from Marathon to do that. And let's get into a couple of quick, very, very quick charts, because now it's time to talk about supply crunch. And shout out to Cal Benz on X from Cal Exit the Matrix, as I know him as. He shares great stuff. And thank you, Cal, for bringing it to my attention. Now, I like the way he approaches this. He pulled up a CoinGlass chart that shows the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges. Now, depending on which data provider you go to, you'll see different numbers. You'll see 2.3 million on, say, CryptoQuant, or 2.5 million on Glassnode, and 2.178 million on CoinGlass. It's all over the place. But just imagine 2.178 million Bitcoin on exchanges. In the past 24 hours, exchanges' net Bitcoin balance dropped nearly 16,000 Bitcoin. Now, if this rate is maintained on a daily basis, okay, that would be, say, 2.2 million divided by about 16,000. It's about 130 days, give or take, or 4.5 months. It'll take us to about May 2025, if it continues. There he is, Cal. I appreciate you in Dubai. Oh my God, you're too kind. Anyway, follow Cal. This is a very cool little post, and we chat together all day in the community as well. So thank you for all the great stuff you share. But I really want to point to this, though. Supply crunch is probably coming. And even though there may be 2.2 million Bitcoin on exchanges, it doesn't mean they're for sale. Most people, that's their cold storage. They trust keeping their Bitcoin on Coinbase more than they trust themselves. But don't be scammed. Coinbase scammers are coming for everybody with any account, whether it's Kraken or Binance or Coinbase or whatever. Just be very careful if you do that, and really think about moving to self-custody if you can too. Have your kids help you as long as you can trust them. So shout out to Cal. Thank you for that. Supply crunch, could it happen in May? Well, there are crazy things happening. Let's talk about what is sucking all of this Bitcoin out of the world. 3 big days for the ETFs. Huge days for Bitwise, BlackRock, and Fidelity. $2 billion spent this week. Most of it just Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as we get closer to January 20th. And what does that mean in terms of Bitcoin? 18,000 Bitcoin were sucked out this week. And remember, this stuff is Bitcoin and exchanges, not the amount on OTC desks. I need to add up the OTC desk balance, but I'd reckon it's less than 200,000 right now. And again, if there's less than 200,000 and they're sucking in 18,000 a week on average, and things are, as James Van Straten says, could go into the mania phase. Okay. We have, say, 200,000 on OTC desks, 20,000 sucked in a week. That's 10 weeks, 2.5 months. And that's just from 7 ETFs. Okay, I want that to be perfectly clear. What happens if Switzerland starts allocating? What happens if more firefighter unions start allocating? What happens if those 10 states actually get their act together and start building a Bitcoin reserve? It's going to kick off, and there's not enough to go around. That's why people like Michael Saylor are buying as much as they possibly can to remind everybody this. I'll repeat this. No, this one. Hang on a second. Got to get it right. If you know everyone is going to trade their 20th century assets for a 21st century capital network, it makes sense to grab a large part of it and benefit when they arrive. He's just front running. Okay? It's not hard to figure out. We can see all the writing on the wall. And again, 6th biggest day ever for these ETFs. It's been around for over a year. We just had the 6th biggest inflow day ever, nearly $1 billion. All of the action has happened since day 215 onwards, except for a big day we had around day 40 or so. Anyhow, that's the quick little story. Oh, one other little story. I forgot. This one, beware, the Coinbase Bitcoin backed loans. I did mention it. A lot of people are very excited. Again, that's how the rich stay rich, as they borrow against their assets. And there will come a time when you can do things in a very safe way. Maybe hold on to your keys, put down some collateral with a preferred provider like a Fidelity or somewhere that has way more to lose in terms of reputation than anything else. But this is from Bitcoin Magazine. Coinbase is pushing so-called Bitcoin-backed loans in 2025 that are actually collateralized by a centralized wrapped token called Coinbase BTC, CBBTC. The loans are issued through Morpho Labs on the Base blockchain, and completely disconnected from Bitcoin's network. That's not good. That's kind of scary. And anything wrapped is also scary. I don't touch anything wrapped ever. And while Bitcoin-backed loans could help holders avoid tax events, goddamn freaking phone keeps going. And I never answer my phone, by the way. I don't even know why that comes up on this computer. Oh, it's a new computer. That's why. Sorry about that. Anyway, Coinbase offering adds unnecessary layers of centralization and risk. True Bitcoin native lending solutions are still in development, while the companies like Lava, XRT, etc. are leaving the charge. Anyway, just be careful of anything wrapped, like we've always said from the very beginning, and wait for this space to get much more mature before you think about that. But it will be. As the asset gets bigger, as it goes to 5 trillion and then 10 trillion, there'll be a lot of financial services wrapped around it in a very safe way. This is the Bitcoin only and proxy show. Playlist will be here at the end. Thank you all for coming. I'll be back in an hour or so with a crazy video about something that's on fire right now at $258, up 40% in 5 days. It's insane. Anyway, thank you all for coming. See you all later. Thank you to the mods in chat and Cal as well. And who else did I miss? Soul Strider. And long-term holder. Appreciate you guys. Happy weekend, everybody. I'll be back in an hour or two. Bye.